We're learning much more about what happened during that chaotic manhunt for the marathon bombing suspects Thursday night. Multiple sources tell us an investigation is underway on whether or not a state trooper was firing at Boston police officer Kenny Conley and State Police Lieutenant Dan Wells, who were on patrol together in an unmarked state police truck. Sources tell Team 5 investigates more than 10 rounds were fired at the officer and trooper from behind during the manhunt. The truck was hit, but no one was hurt. A state police spokesperson confirms they're looking at all of the ballistics at that scene, and the Middlesex District Attorney's Office is investigating. Sources are also telling us an investigation is underway to see if MBTA Transit Police Officer Richard Donahue was hit by friendly fire. Team 5 has also learned the investigation into the marathon bombings took federal investigators to a Williams-Sonoma store in Salem, New Hampshire after receiving a tip from a store clerk. The clerk said 2 suspicious young men visited the store within the past 6 months looking for a certain type of pressure cooker. Now, no sale was made at that store, but after the marathon bombings, the clerk called the federal tip line but couldn't positively identify the men as the bombing suspects. Williams-Sonoma tells us they have fully cooperated with the investigation. For Team...
So I don't know if you guys notice a lot about these unmarked cars. Now they have pickup trucks, unmarked pickup trucks on the highways, on the rural routes. Dodge Chargers all blacked out, you know, nice $30,000-$40,000 cars paid by taxpayers. Then they're driving around. Of course, other cops don't know that they're cops. Then they start shooting them. So then again, the taxpayers are going to fork up more money. You know, when the local police sue the state police. So it's just nuts. Man dies in police raid on wrong house. This is part 4 of this news report for today, Monday, April 29th, 2013. Just so I put it out there. There probably won't be any videos until May 9th, just because I won't have internet until then. So just bear with me, and hopefully I should be back up and running on May 9th. A 61-year-old man was shot to death by police while his wife was handcuffed in another room during a drug raid on the wrong house. Police admitted their mistake, saying faulty info from a drug informant contributed to the death of John Adams Wednesday night. John Adams, They intended to raid the home next door. Okay, CPS kidnaps baby after parents seek second medical opinion. The Sacramento couple is without their 5-month-old baby after CPS, Child Protective Services, sent in the police to forcibly remove the child from their care. So the hearing is scheduled for Monday, April 29th on the incidents. So it goes on here and it says that these parents took their baby out of the hospital and sought a second opinion at a rival hospital for Sammy's flu-like symptoms. Said they were concerned about the quality of care that they were receiving. Also, at one point, Anna questioned the antibiotics Sammy was being given and was alarmed that the nurse administering the treatment didn't know why the child was receiving them. It says here, Anna claims that the doctor later said that Sammy should not have been receiving the medication. It says here that also, when doctors began discussing the possibility of heart surgery, the parents decided to leave without proper discharge in order to have the child examined elsewhere. Yeah, I'd probably do the same thing, get the hell out of there. If we got the one mistake after another, I don't want to have my baby have surgery in the hospital where I don't feel safe, she added. We went from one hospital to another. Police showed up at the request of the hospital. It says here, the police told the parents that the staff at Sutter had told them that the child was in such a bad state that, as Anna put it, they thought that this baby is dying on our arms. After the police saw that the baby, Sammy, was fine, examined medical records, they clearly stated that Sammy was clinically safe to go home, and they left. The attending doctor at Kaiser said, I do not have concern for the safety of the child at the home with the parents. The next day, the police came to the parents' home. Alex met them outside, was slammed against the wall and pushed to the ground. His keys to the home were forcibly removed from him, and the police entered the house to take the baby. They said, I'm going to grab your baby and don't resist and don't fight me, okay? Said a Sacramento police officer. So it goes on here, and it says that on April 27th, they said that the child was taken due to severe neglect. It says Sammy is currently in protective custody, as they call it, at Sutter Memorial Hospital. It's being detained. It was kidnapped, and now it's in detention. Hospital officials refused to comment, saying the case was with CPS and political law enforcement revenue collectors, and they would have to deliver a statement. I guess the parents summed it up well, saying, "It seems like parents have no right whatsoever." Again, so if you doubt that, the state owns your children, then here you go. Said once you go through that door, the medical decisions about your child are no longer within your control. Profiteering pharmaceutical. This is the irony is what we're going to get in here, because then they say, well, you have to treat your child for cancer. You have to do this surgery, instead of praying and letting them die if they die, right? So then they force you to do that. Profiteering pharmaceutical giants killing cancer patients, says a report. Says a worldwide cancer experts has warned that astronomical prices charged by drug companies are in fact condemning some patients to death. So here we go. Judge overrules mother over cancer treatment for 7-year-old. Doctor said highly likely that the son would die within a relatively short period without further surgery, but mother wanted more expert advice. Says a 7-year-old cancer sufferer is due to have a life-saving surgery. Today they call it life-saving surgery. Hey, good, the high court judge did right. After a high court judge intervened to order the operation against the mother's wishes. So it goes on here. It says that the mother took her son into hiding earlier this month because she objected to planned radiotherapy treatment. Basically, I guess get radiated, and does not want him to undergo surgery. I guess the boy was found safe and well on December 6th after a nationwide manhunt. So it says here that he believed that she wanted to do everything that she can and rely on natural remedies and things that are not too invasive rather than radiotherapy and chemotherapy. There's been stories of people that tumors have just disappeared, cancer have gone. Personally, I want everything for him. All the evidence I've been presented with has told me that he needs to have therapy, but I'm also aware that there are side effects and it concerns me. Faith-healing parents pick prayer over medicine and lose another child. Remember this? We just covered it. It says here the couple believes in faith healing is already serving 10 years probation for the 2009 death of their 2-year-old son who died from pneumonia when they refused medical care. So I said another child, 8-month-year-old boy, succumbed to the same fate. The baby died last week after suffering for days from diarrhea and breathing problems. Big Pharma pockets $711 billion in profits by robbing seniors, says Taxpayers. We're just talking about profiteering pharmaceutical giants killing cancer patients, says report. And now it says here that there's an outrage that must be changed. Big Pharma has been systematically price gouging the Medicare program for seniors and people with disabilities, ranking in excessive profits. Won't change. Abortion foes want to turn back the clock, says Obama. So people who have an unplanned parenthood and want to turn back the clock and undo their actions are what? They're doing the same thing that he's accusing people that are against abortion. So Obama vowed Friday to fight with Planned Parenthood against what he said were efforts across the country to turn women's health back to the 1950s. Playing off the victim mentality, it says here Mr. Obama asserted that an assault on women's rights is underway across the country. Says that when politicians try to turn Planned Parenthood into a punching bag, they're not just talking about you, they're talking about millions of women who you serve. He encouraged those gathered to continue fighting for abortion rights, saying, "You've also got a president who is going to be right there with you, fighting every step of the way," says Mr. Obama. The FBI video, domestic terrorist, says he targeted conservative group for being anti-gay. Says here the Family Research Council officials released video of federal investigators questioning convicted domestic terrorist Floyd Lee Corkins, who explained that he attacked the group's headquarters because the Southern Poverty Law Center, the SPLC, identified them as a hate group due to their traditional marriage views. Minnesota school says it has every right to prohibit 6th graders' pro-life speech. Alliance Defending Freedom filed a federal lawsuit Friday on behalf of a 6th grade student after a Minnesota public school prohibited her from distributing pro-life flyers to her classmates during a non-instructional time. It says public schools should encourage and not shut down the free exchange of ideas, says the legal counsel. In an email to the students' parents, the school's executive director claimed that the content of the flyers was inconsistent with the school's educational mission. That such political activism is limited to students in the School of Rhetoric, the high school only. It says here, the school has a right to censor students without violating their free speech, the director wrote. In short, public schools have every right to prohibit students speech. Well, like the letter that kid wrote about, just get over it, about accepting gays in society now. And it's all about tolerance, but it's a one-way tolerance. So, you could have a speech about Planned Parenthood, how great it is, and do a speech on it in grade school or high school, and it would be fine. I mean, you just had the head of the Planned Parenthood saying that the babies don't belong to the parents, they belong to the collective, which makes sense why they would kidnap kids from their parents if they don't want certain care. School pupils should be taught not all porn is bad, says experts. Teachers should be aware that not all pornography is bad when taking sex education classes, according to guidance made available to schools. A publication released by a group of health and children's charity says that teachers should bear in mind that pornography is hugely diverse. It says pupils as young as 12 or 11 should be taught the dangers of sexting, and 5-year-olds should know how airbrushing in the media creates unrealistic body images. They suggest using a website called thesite.org, a device forum for young people, which tells teenagers that porn can be great and aims to tackle the series of myths about the subject. It goes on here, it says that porn can be great. It's the idea that porn is like real sex, which is the problem. It says, but if you can separate the fantasy from the reality, you're much more likely to enjoy both. So remember, there's a Canadian website that was for children for sex education, where they could go and learn how to masturbate and how to use objects to do that, and that homosexuality is A-okay, and it's always been like that. So people are people. But I was just discussing this with some people over the weekend, and they made a good point, which is the thing about all the pornography, which I think I know where it's coming from, just like in Germany and all throughout history. I think it comes from Jews. I think they use it to infiltrate society and gain political and social control. They want us to just destroy ourselves while they themselves hold their own standards. So, when you grow up with this stuff, you think that it's real, like they said, which is right. But then it's like you get with somebody and then you're almost let down if it's not like a porn flick. So in a way, I mean, usually, traditionally, it was always guys that would look at pornography, not girls. But now girls or females are more and more watching it. So it means like when you get together, it's almost like it's group masturbation. It's like it's not even really sex. You're just both carrying out these little porn characters, porn roles. Again, another conversation about prom. Oh, nowadays in prom, people aren't even boyfriend and girlfriend anymore. They just all go together, So but that fits the culture now, which is just, it's just not free love, but kind of like you just sleep with whoever. There's no real bonds or relationships as much anymore. So I think you're going to see a lot more situations or events where you'll have like group sex going on where everybody's just interchanging, but in reality, how much can that really happen and work? So the thing is, and of course, like you have people that do polygamy and stuff like that where they all kind of agree and stuff. But I just think in these situations, there's going to be like people are going to be jealous, right? So they're going to be jealous no matter if they say, oh, it's cool. You're going to see people who are like, there'll be like a dude, and he'll go into a house, and he'll like shoot up both of his friends, a female and a male, and then shoot himself, all because it's blowback from this engineering. And people say, this is such a shame. We got to stop this gun violence and that. Middle school girls forced to ask classmates for lesbian kiss during anti-bullying presentation. So a recent anti-bullying presentation at a middle school in New York focused on homosexuality and gender identity has angered parents after their daughters have come home to tell them they were forced to ask another girl for a kiss. So the parent said that her daughter was very uncomfortable with the exercise. During the workshop for girls 13 and 14-year-olds, they were asked one another for a lesbian kiss. They were also taught words such as pansexual and gender queer. She also was dismayed that college students were granted the right to come into the classroom and encourage her daughter to be sexually active. I'm furious. So as a parent, where does anyone get the right to tell her that it's okay for her to have sex? And it says, crazed substitute teacher beats student, then masturbates in front of class. Substitute homeroom teacher was quickly fired for hitting a student and then masturbating in front of others. Middle school mom sends her pornographic Anne Frank. So it goes on here, and it says a Michigan mom is upset over pornographic material. A 7th grade daughter was assigned to read the diary of Anne Frank. She filed a formal complaint that the school should remove the book. It says here that Frank writes about her genitalia. She used the edited version, or at least have parents sign a permission slip before making the kids read the unedited version. She discovered the material when her daughter said that it made her uncomfortable, saying, "It doesn't mean my child is sheltered, it doesn't mean they live in a bubble, and it doesn't mean I'm trying to ban books."